Number 10. Pep Guardiola inherited a world-class squad at Barcelona. The story goes that Pep Guardiola walked into a ready-made Barcelona team filled with superstars like Ronaldinho, Deco, Eto'o, and Henry. But this couldn't be further from the truth. In Frank Rijkaard's final season, Barcelona finished a distant third, 18 points behind champions Real Madrid. Even worse, they won just 3 of their final 15 league games, including a humiliating 4-1 loss at the Bernabeu. The club was in freefall when rookie manager Guardiola took over. He immediately sold fan favourites Ronaldinho and Deco, promoted youngsters like Busquets and Pedro from La Masia, and repositioned Messi as a false 9-9, transforming him from an 18-goal winger to a 38-goal phenomenon in just one season. Guardiola didn't inherit success. He engineered it through bold decisions, tactical innovation, and a deep understanding of Barcelona's DNA. His transformation of Barcelona wasn't just about maintaining excellence. It was about completely rebuilding a broken team and creating one of the greatest sides in football history. Number 9. Possession wins you games. Possession is 9/10 of the law. At least that's what football pundits would have you believe. But the data tells a different story. Leicester City won the Premier League in 2015-16 with just 42% possession and a pass accuracy of 70%, the worst in the division. Yet they converted 14% of their shots compared to the league average of 8%. Even Jose Mourinho, 2-time Champions League winner, once defeated Bayern Munich with just 28% possession. Barcelona's tiki-taka wasn't about keeping the ball for its own sake. It was about lulling opponents into breaking rank before exploiting the spaces. Possession is just a tool, not the end goal. It's not how much of the ball you have, it's what you do with it that counts. Teams like Atletico Madrid, under Simeone, have consistently shown that you can achieve remarkable success with minimal possession, focusing instead on defensive organisation and clinical counterattacks. Number 8. Soccer is an American term. Nothing makes European football fans cringe more than hearing Americans say soccer instead of football. But here's the twist. Soccer is actually a British term. It originated in the 19th century England as an abbreviation of association football, as association, to distinguish it from rugby football. The term soccer was commonly used in Britain until around 1900, when they dropped the prefix and the noun soccer was born. Americans simply adopted and preserved a British term that the British themselves later abandoned. So next time someone criticises Americans for saying soccer, remind them they're actually using a perfectly legitimate British term with deep roots in the game's homeland. The irony is that many British fans who mock Americans for using soccer don't realise they're criticising a term their own country invented and used regularly for decades. Football terminology has always evolved, and this is just one example of how language changes over time. Number 7. Pelé stopped a civil war. It's one of football's most heartwarming stories. Pelé and Santos travelled to Nigeria during a brutal civil war, and both sides called a 48-hour ceasefire just to watch him play. But according to Nigerian writer Olaojo Ayegbayo, who researched primary sources like the Nigerian Daily Times and Nigerian Observer, there's no evidence this ever happened. These newspapers covered the match extensively, but made no mention of any ceasefire. Santos was paid £1,000, about £140,000 today, by the Nigerian Football Association to play an exhibition match, while people were dying of famine. Even Pelé himself didn't mention this supposed ceasefire in his 1977 autobiography, only adopting the story years later. It's a beautiful myth, but unfortunately just that, a myth. The story has persisted because it fits our desire to believe that football can transcend even the most dire circumstances, bringing peace where diplomacy fails. While football does have tremendous unifying power, this particular tale appears to be more legend than reality. Number 6. SerieA is a defensive league. Italian football has long been stereotyped as catenaccio heavy, boring, and draw-filled, but the numbers tell a completely different story. In the 2015-16 season, SerieA outscored all other top 5 European leagues with 979 goals. The following season saw even more, 1,024 goals. La Liga was the nearest competitor with 968 goals, while the Premier League lagged behind with just 960. The myth persists, partly because of Juventus' dominance, but even they were in second place until game week 25 in one recent season, with Napoli's 36th goal, Osimhen, leading the charge. So next time someone dismisses Serie A as boring, remind them that Italian football actually delivers more goals than the supposedly more entertaining Premier League. The stereotype of Italian football as defensive and dull is outdated, based more on the Catenaccio era of the 1960s than the dynamic, attacking football played in Serie A today. Number 5. India turned down the World Cup because FIFA wouldn't let them play barefoot. It's a colourful story that's been repeated for decades. India qualified for the 1950 World Cup, but refused to participate because FIFA wouldn't let them play barefoot. The truth? India declined their invitation because they simply didn't consider the World Cup important enough. They prioritised the Olympics, where they performed admirably, winning gold at the 1951 Asian Games and placing 4th at the 1956 Olympics ahead of Great Britain and Australia. The barefoot story likely originated because some Indian players did occasionally play without boots in domestic matches, but it wasn't the reason for their World Cup absence. Unfortunately, India hasn't qualified for the tournament since, currently sitting at 137th in the FIFA rankings. This myth has persisted partly because it's more interesting than the truth, and partly because it fits into a narrative of cultural differences between Western and Eastern approaches to the sport. The reality is much more straightforward. India simply had different priorities at the time. Number 4. Ryan Giggs should have played for England. Many English fans lament that Ryan Giggs, one of the Premier League's greatest wingers, chose to represent Wales instead of England. The argument goes that since he played for England's schoolboys, he should have continued with the Three Lions. However, this ignores a crucial fact. Many Scottish, Welsh and Irish players represented England's schoolboys due to their residence in England, while still being eligible for their home nations through parentage. Giggs, born in Cardiff to Welsh parents, represented Wales from the under-18 level upward and never seriously considered playing for England. The myth that England missed out on Giggs is just wishful thinking from English supporters who coveted his left-wing wizardry. This misconception highlights how international eligibility rules are often misunderstood by fans. Playing for England's schoolboys doesn't commit a player to England at senior level, and Giggs was always clear about his Welsh identity and commitment to representing his homeland. Number 3. Roy Keane ended Erling Haaland's career. The story is legendary. Roy Keane deliberately ended Erling Haaland's career with a horrific tackle in 2001. Revenge for Haaland mocking Keane's ACL injury years earlier. Keane's autobiography even seemed to confirm this, stating he'd waited long enough and hit him hard. But here's what actually happened. Haaland played the full 90 minutes in Manchester City's next game and made another appearance that season. His career ended due to a serious injury to his other knee, not the one Keane tackled. While Keane's challenge was undeniably brutal and deserving of its red card, it didn't end Haaland's career. The myth persists because it fits the narrative of Keane as football's ultimate hardman with a vengeful streak. It's a cautionary tale about how easily football narratives can become distorted over time, especially when they involve controversial figures like Keane. Number 2. Cristiano Ronaldo is self-absorbed. Cristiano Ronaldo is often portrayed as egotistical and self-centered. The selfies, the celebrations, the underwear modelling, it all feeds into this perception. But behind the scenes, Ronaldo is one of football's most charitable figures. He's donated six-figure sums to cancer centres across Portugal, raised awareness for Save the Children's Nepal Earthquake Relief Fund, paid for a sick child's surgery, and even shaved his head to match a young cancer patient. These aren't isolated incidents. Ronaldo consistently uses his platform and wealth to help others, often without publicity. So while his on-pitch persona might seem self-focused, his off-pitch actions tell a different story. The contrast between Ronaldo's public image and his private generosity highlights how easily we can misjudge athletes based on their carefully curated public personas. Behind the celebrations and the confidence is a philanthropist who has positively impacted countless lives around the world. Number 1. Possession of the ball is the most important statistic in football. For years, possession has been treated as the holy grail of football statistics. Teams with 60% plus possession are automatically considered dominant, regardless of the scoreline. But modern analytics have revealed a more nuanced truth. Possession without purpose is meaningless. What matters is where you have the ball and what you do with it. Expected goals, progressive passes, and defensive actions in the final third have proven to be far more predictive of success than raw possession numbers. Teams like Liverpool, under Klopp, and Real Madrid under Ancelotti, have won Champions Leagues with less possession than their opponents in key matches. The myth that possession equals dominance is perhaps football's most persistent tactical fallacy, one that continues to mislead fans and pundits alike. As analytics continue to evolve, we're gaining a deeper understanding of what truly drives success in football, and it's far more complex than simply keeping the ball. So there you have it, the top 10 football myths exposed. From Guardiola's Barcelona revolution to the true value of possession stats, we've separated fact from fiction. Football is a game built on stories, and sometimes those stories stray from reality. But understanding the truth behind these myths doesn't diminish our love for the beautiful game. It enhances it. By challenging these long-held beliefs, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and nuance of football. What's fascinating is how these myths persist despite evidence to the contrary. They become part of football folklore, passed down from generation to generation, often because they make for better stories than the truth. But as fans, we owe it to ourselves to look beyond the narratives and seek out the facts. Which football myth do you think is the most surprising or hardest to believe? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed learning about football myths, hit subscribe for more Football Explainer videos. If you've got hypes left this week, use one here to push this video up the leaderboard. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.